Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. We're going to be mixing vocals today, my least favorite thing to mix. But if you're struggling to get your vocals sitting right in the mix, then this video is the one to watch. Hopefully you can get something out of it. And so yeah, without wasting any more time, let's listen to the track and go from there. Okay, so this is a mix that I recently did for a band called District 7, and the track is called The Place We Used to Call Home. Yeah, let's just go through it and I'll talk about my guidelines as to how to mix vocals. All right, let's go.
I walked into the jungle to see if I could make it out alive. Now I feel much stronger. Never mind, darling. Yeah, you never mind. Tell me now, darling, where has been your mind? Settle down, let's get this right. I was lying, I was dying when I said I was fine. Once again, I'm sorry, honey, let me kiss you goodbye. Oh, I'm kidding, honey, you're the reason I'm in standby.
I basically have like a 3-step process when it comes to mixing vocals. It's nothing really special, honestly, but it's very important to talk about, I feel. And because if you don't, you're just going to be chasing your own tail. It's going to give you the foundation to build your vocal mix in the project that you're working in. I will also go into detail as to what I'm doing with the mix, the specifics. But until then, here are my 3 vocal guidelines for you to follow. Okay, so step 1 is to organize your tracks. If you don't organize your tracks, you're going to have a horrible time mixing, that is for sure, especially on large productions. So color code everything, put everything in groups, and name them as well if you can. You'll be able to process all of your tracks all in one go, since now they're in groups. And I feel like that's really important when mixing, especially like big sessions, because you kind of want to start off with long brush strokes, as if you're painting, right? You kind of want to paint the background first, and then dive into the nitty-gritty of things. And yeah, that just really works well for my kind of workflow, and I think for most people that would be pretty good too. So organize your tracks. Okay, so the next step is processing. I typically like to start off with saturation first, then EQ, then compression. I like to saturate first because I want to be dealing with a vocal track that's right off the bat a little bit more musical sounding and rich, and saturation is going to help us do that. It's going to be a subtle sound, but it really adds up later down the line. I then EQ and compress my vocal in that order because I want to make sure that my vocal is completely free from any sort of problematic frequency and is completely balanced before it hits the compressor. Because, for example, if I were to have a lot of low end in my vocal, then it's going to hit the compressor harder, thus compressing it in a way that's not really ideal. You're going to have some troubles when it comes to leveling your vocal in the mix. The next thing I would do is level my tracks. This is going to be a very rough level. I'm not going to be setting everything up exactly how they should be. I'm just keeping everything at the same volume so that I can get a good picture of what the song is and get a feel for the vibe as well. I feel like this gives me a good perspective of what the song should be when I do mix it. And so yeah, I think it's a good practice to do something like this. Okay, so now we'll go into exactly how I mix the vocals on this song, and hopefully you can learn something. As you can see here, I've got my 2 tracks under one group, and this is how I'm processing it. I've got my virtual mix rack for my first plugin. I'm running it through 2 different saturation modules. I'm not really paying attention to it, I'm just running it through them. And then I'm using an EQ to boost 600 Hz at 0.95 dB, not much. And I'm high passing at 200 Hz. For the compression, I'm compressing pretty hard at 10 to 15 dB of gain reduction. Attack at 6 and release at noon. This is so that my vocal stays completely consistent without any random volume jumps between phrases. And yeah, it just gets you a lot of energy as well. I'm then using the Pro Q3 plugin from FabFilter. I'm just bringing down the 400 Hz area just a bit. And I'm doing so dynamically because that just gives me a much more natural sound, I feel. I then have the SSL EQ. This is so good for like tone shaping, in my opinion. And I'm just boosting 2 kilohertz at 3 decibels. I then have the vocal doubler effect. I'm using the vocal doubler plugin from Isotope, and I'm just blending it in 35%. I've also automated this on different sections, but it's such a great plugin. It's free. You should definitely pick it up, and it just allows me to make the vocals sit right in the mix, in my opinion. So there's that. Now, this is not all. I do have the rest of my processing on the group, and so we'll just go through that right now. So the next plugin I have on here is the Ozone 11 Maximizer, which is a limiter. This is something I do quite often on rock and metal mixes because I'm trying to squeeze out every bit of energy present in the vocal take, which is going to result in a vocal mix that's really upfront. And I'm doing about 4 dB of gain reduction, which is quite hefty, but I think it really works in the mix. This step is pretty important if you want to understand what your vocalist is trying to say lyrically. And so Fresh Air by Slate Digital is what we're adding into our effects chain. This is just going to add that sprinkle on top, just open everything up a bit. And, you know, as the name implies, fresh air. I then have Cold Fire from Arturia. As you can see here, I've just slapped on the vocal enhancer preset, and that was that. This is just saturation, and it's thickening things up, and it sounds really cool. It's the first time I've ever done something like this, and worked out pretty well. Next up, I have Pro DS, which is a de-esser. And this is going to tame those harsh sibilant frequencies when it comes to words like, with a lot of S's in them. This is just going to smooth everything out. And that's pretty much it. I will now play you the track. I think I've been talking for a bit too much, and I'll just toggle on and off the plugins so that you can hear exactly what we've done to our vocal in the context of the mix.
I walked into the jungle to see if I could make it out alive. Now I feel much stronger. I walked into the jungle to see if I could make it out alive. Now I feel much stronger. Never mind, darling. A heart attack when I thought about home. I cherish the highs, I don't miss the lows. Even if we got it wide, even if we get it warm. I cherish the highs, I don't miss the lows. I'm not leaving you. A heart attack when I thought about home. I cherish the highs, I don't miss the lows. Even if we got it wide, even if we get it warm. I cherish the highs, I don't miss the lows. I'm not leaving you.
So there you have it. The mixed version definitely sounded like the vocals were a part of the song and cohesive with everything, as opposed to the unmixed version where it just kind of felt disjointed and out of place. And that's due to the compression that we have going on, as well as a bit of the volume automation that I have, but it's mainly the compression. Another thing that really sells the cohesion, in my opinion, is how bright the vocals are. Pay attention to the cymbals, gauge how bright they are, and then mix your vocals accordingly to that, because you want to make sure that they're in the same ballpark. And a lot of what mixing and mastering is brightening things up. Even tracks you would consider to be dark have gone through multiple stages of brightening, so that is something very important to keep in mind. One thing I haven't talked about in this video is reverbs and delays, because I feel it's highly subjective and it probably deserves a video of its own, so let me know if that is of interest to you. But I guess a general rule of thumb would be to low cut your reverbs, because you want to make sure there isn't any low-end buildup when it comes to layering your reverbs with your vocals and all that kind of stuff. But there you have it, my 3-step vocal mixing guide. Organize, processing, which has a subcategory of saturation, EQ, and compression, and then finally leveling. It's something I like to stick by to, and it's worked wonders for me, and I hope it does for you too. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something, and I'll see you next time. Do let me know what the next video should be, and yeah, bye.